All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome y'all to Conversations. My name's Al Mecca. We have Chef Stephan C. Baity about to do our thing. We're going to lock it in, and hopefully we inspire and motivate somebody tonight. If not, maybe they'll figure it out tomorrow. And before we get this started, I want to shout out my man James Ball 314. He lost his mother, so that's my dude. Shout him out. You know what I'm saying? So he going through it. So, but my prayers with you and my family three.
Definitely.
All right, Mr. Baity, sir, chef.
What's going on?
I thought you would have your chef hat on. I should have requested that.
Oh no, I'm rocking the Stephan C. Baity brand all day.
No doubt, no doubt. See, branding. See,
Absolutely.
You on the game. All right, let's start at your humble beginnings. Southeast side of Canton, Ohio.
Yes, yes, man. Anybody who know about Canton, we got a couple of gutter spots, in Canton. We got a couple of gutters, but all jokes aside, I think that it's part of the foundry. It's part of the process of being refined. And so I don't regret that. I don't despise it. I love to talk about it. And so right before everything jumped off with COVID, I was in New Jersey, and I was in South Jersey, and I was talking to a whole auditorium of students, and I was sharing my story about where I was from, the things that I saw and encountered. And it was just amazing that that connection you were able to make just by being honest and being transparent. But,
right.
A lot of things have changed with Canton, and some things have gotten better. I absolutely love the direction and everything. But, there was a period of time where Canton, it was rough.
Yeah.
And there's still a shift that some things are going on back home. But nonetheless, back home, it was back home. And so I got a chance to, like I said, to be exposed to so much. But I had a tribe of people. Especially my brother Corey. Like, my brother Corey had it on lock that he was like, if my brother come on the block, no dirt happens. Because if anything happened, you have to deal with me. But, definitely growing up, it was difficult. Definitely.
Wow. So what was the first thing you mastered back then? Was it the bologna sandwich or was it the peanut butter and jelly?
Yo, real talk. I'm going to tell you, it was I'm being honest, it was the rations. Like, we used to get the powdered milk. And we used to get the cheese, and we would get the peanut butter, and I was doing the syrup sandwiches. I was doing the cinnamon toast crunch in the broiler, but putting the butter on it with the sugar, and I was putting it under the broiler. I mean, I was doing it all. So I was doing those government commodities. I really was. I ain't even gonna lie.
So you just been creative with the whole foods since day one. You just always made the best out of it.
Definitely. And I think that's the fun thing about food is that creative outlet that you get. I tell people one of the things that I always liken it to is that we're all born with a God gene. I tell people that. And we're all built, when you're made in Christ's image, that's that God gene to be creative and to create. And so that's all what food is that gene. When you got that mantle, you're able to look at something and be like, wow, and you create something, and it's just like, in Genesis where it talks about, it was dark and it was void, it was without shape and without form, and then, God began to work with it, and then creation happened. Much like, what I kind of liken it is with food, is that same thing. Everyone has that God gene.
Wow. And you went to McKinley, right?
Went to McKinley Senior High, and that's where I think where teachers don't get their due diligence, because I met a lady who forever changed my life, and she changed the trajectory of my life. Rebecca Leibowitz, rest in power, a teacher of culinary arts for over 20 years at McKinley, and she saw something in me, and that woman poured every ounce of what she knew about culinary arts into me, and she prepared me to go to culinary school. And she was actually one of the ones who reached out to different culinary schools, and she actually got me on the path. Because at that point, no one in my family had ever graduated high school. Okay. And so I was one of the first ones to get a high school diploma. And this was a woman who says, now, Steve, you can go to college and further your career. And I was like, what? And she was the one making the calls, and she was the one filling out applications for me to get scholarships. And this was the woman who was applying me for awards and just everything. So definitely I have to give her roses. Definitely.
Okay, and then after high school, where did you go to culinary school at?
I went to culinary school in Pennsylvania Culinary, downtown Pittsburgh. And then from there, I had a phenomenal, life-changing opportunity. I worked at the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel, which is a four-star, four-diamond resort in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I met and trained under a certified master chef, and also Chris Madison, who is one of the, that's my mentor, that's my guy. I always give him love. That was a man who shaped me into a chef, definitely.
Mm. So what's the process in becoming a chef?
So there's two outlets, and I think I want to be very clear about this. Some people go to culinary school and they attain a degree, whether it's an associate's, a BA, it's a master's. They go through the whole culinary scene as far as higher education. But then also you have the point where the experience takes precedence. And so either you could take one of the two roads. Once again, either you can go through the accreditation process and you go through schooling and certifications, or it's through experience. And I want to be very clear about that, is that when you have that experience and you have that wisdom that comes behind, you can be called an executive chef. Okay, you have the right to be called a chef. Okay. Now, just because you've been cooking a while doesn't mean you're a chef, though. Like, you're just a cook. You're just a cook. Like, own that title.
Right.
But obviously, you could take either road. Is when you're going through and you're managing team members and you're managing budgets and you're responsible for the whole platform of culinary arts. You definitely have earned that right of being called a chef, even if you've never had any formal accreditation of training.
Wow. Now, you used to do the Hall of Fame dinners and luncheons, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You used to organize the whole thing. How was that experience?
So I tell you, being from Canton, Ohio, and being a son of the city, and having the opportunity through my day job, through AVI Food Systems, having the ability to be responsible to carry that weight, man, I did that for almost 8-9 years. Was awesome. Getting the chance to meet. I was just actually on an interview right before I got on with you, and I was talking about cooking for Deion Sanders and cooking for Warren Sapp and
Right.
cooking, for Lawrence Taylor. And the list just goes on, and meeting these great celebrities and these athletes and getting to take care of them on some of the greatest highlights of their career. I mean, it was definitely one of those things I love to hang my hat on and brag to the world about.
Yeah, hell yeah, especially, and you from Canton, like, man, I go down the street, bus a left, bus a right, and I'm at
Definitely. And you know what? And Al, the one of the greatest things is that we would stage in the McKinley cafeteria, and that's where we would take care of ESPN and HBO and everything like that. And I would tell people these are the very halls that I walked going to school, and this is where I ate lunch at. And now here I am cooking on one of the greatest stages of my career at a place I just went through just to grab lunch. So, man, you got a lot of people on the line saying what's up. I see a lot of people. Chrissy, I see my cousin on here. We got, there's a lot of folks out here.
Will, C Love, they all in here checking it out.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I know that had to be like a real defining moment, walking through McKinley halls, but you working there and I know you just really had to just kind of stop and just like take it all in and be like, wow, look how far I've come.
Oh, man. And it wasn't not only but how far I've come, but definitely being a trailblazer, being a young man of color, to be on that stage and to carry that weight, carry that mantle, and pave the way for others who are going to come before me, come after me. And also, just the inspiration to inspire other, folks who wants to get into that, to field of culinary arts, that like, yo, you can do it, you can make it, doesn't matter where you come from. And once you get there, it's like no one can take that away from you.
Right. Now, the Food Network, how did you get involved with that whole thing?
Man, I tell you, social media is such a powerful tool, and not only social media, but also I tell people your reputation. So the Food Network was actually interviewing a few other people to be on a new show that they created in 2015 called Christmas Cake Wars. And what's up, bro? And they were asking, some other artists, who else is hot that we don't know about? And some other artists was like, yo, have you ever met Steve Baity? He was like, who is Steve Baity? And so they were like, well, go check out his social media. And so they jumped on my social media and they saw some of the things that I was doing. And a representative from the Food Network reached out to me and they was like, how would you like to be on a new show that we're casting, Christmas Cake Wars? And I was like, I thought at first someone, was punking me, like it's a joke. And they began to take me through the whole, they began to take me through the whole process of getting on the Food Network. And I never applied to be on the show. And they says instantly right then, we'll sign you on. And they sent me a plane ticket and I went and competed.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I remember, hitting the remote. I was like, "There's my boy."
Yeah, and that was one of three, Food Network shows that I've been, blessed to be on. Hopefully many more in the future. But this definitely been a great experience and a great joy.
I know. I watch. It's a podcast called I Am Athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the woman's name, but she's also a chef, and she cooks for like a lot of the players and stuff like that. And she was talking about how the culinary world is really a small circle.
Yes, it is. I tell you, from from just once again the normal day to day, a line cook to some of the celebrity chefs is the power of, once again, social media that bridges the gap, that you're able to support one another, to repost, just to put encouraging words, even to throw business at one another, is that it's such a small niche. And even if you're a person of color, it's even a smaller niche. So in my world, as an executive chef, you don't see very many executive chefs. You see a lot of black cooks, you see a lot of black leads, but you don't see very many executive chefs that are actually in charge, that have the understanding of the financial business, that have the understanding of the human resource business, that have the vision, that has the ability to understand all the laws and bylaws that come along with being an executive chef, and to be able to make some really difficult decisions. And so with that being said, is that me in that position has opened up a world of opportunities to connect with different people.
That's amazing. And then I had seen you, shout out to Rob Barino, because this is kind of tying him in with my man Mo B, but you did something, you was doing stuff with the Carolina Panthers. He's a Panthers fan.
Yes, man, we got some folks on here who are asking me to cook for them. Miss Crescenta Marie, I would definitely cook for you. It would be an honor and a privilege and an honor for that. But, I tell you, being down here in South Carolina, and one of the contracts that we have is with the Carolina Panthers, and being able to take care of them. You want to talk about the groundwork from being in Canton, Ohio, doing a Football Hall of Fame, and how to conduct yourself. So, for instance, when you're in an athlete's, when you're in his space, he doesn't want to like selfies. He's not there for, can I get an autograph? And, oh my gosh, you're my favorite. That's their space. And so, to walk up to Cam Newton and be like, good morning, Cam, how you doing today? What can I get you? I understand that your diet this year, you're a pescatarian, or this diet year, you're a vegetarian. These are your options that you have. And working with his dietitian to fulfill those obligations, or Luke, Kuechly, or when, Jones was there, wherever the case might be. But once again, to be professional and carry yourself as a professional, and not as, someone who's like, oh my God, it's Cam Newton.
Right.
But, carry yourself accordingly.
That's what's up. Have you been to his restaurant in Atlanta yet?
I have not. So I got, at this point in my life, just turning 40, I've definitely learned to get out more. So I have a whole list of things that I want to get to and do.
That's what's up. And what what advice would you have for people who's trying to get into the, you know, younger or newer people trying to get into the food business, whether they're making desserts or doing dinners or anything like that? Like, what advice would you have for them?
Man, that's a great question, and I answer it the same way. Is that number one, self-investment. So whether that means you got to cookbooks, trial and error, um, whether you got to be able to do some research. All right, you got to be competent. All right. The second thing is you got to find yourself a niche, um, because for instance, everyone's cooking chicken, everyone's cooking seafood, everyone's cooking beef, everyone's cooking pasta. But what is it about your pasta that you can just take and own and make it so unique that people go, I know it's spaghetti and meatballs, but man, it's something about her spaghetti and meatballs, like, and then just exploit it. And that's what I do with my fruit and vegetable carving, is that um, I'm not artistic in the sense of I'm not drawn to art, but yet I took fruit and vegetable carving and I just exploited it. I pimped it out, and it's always in someone's face. And I'm always trying to get better and better and better and better. But yet I self-invest and I buy new knives and I buy cookbooks and I'm constantly learning.
Yeah.
And so once you get that niche or whatever you got and you exploit it, you got to keep going and going and going and going and putting it in people's face. And then you can't listen to the naysayers about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as far as the carvings, like, how does that process work? So you don't draw, correct?
I can't draw to save my life.
So hold on. You can't draw, but you can cut the hell out of some fruit. You can't draw.
It
Make
was
that make sense, man. Make that make sense for me.
man. It was Michelangelo. Who says that art and sculpting, that there's already a vessel. There's already an end result that's trapped inside of that piece, and it's up to us to unlock it. And so a lot of times through my studying and through research, I'm learning different techniques or whatever, and I'm looking at a muse. When I say a muse, I'm looking at a vessel, and I'm looking at the shape, and so if it's nice and round, I know I can do something that's symmetrical. But if I know that's avant-garde and it has a curve to it, I know I can do a swoosh. And so whenever I'm looking at this stuff, I'm trying to see, what story can I tell when I'm trying to push it back and I'm carving layers and petals and whether I'm doing a flower or I'm doing a silhouette, is that I'm trying to bring out whatever's locked inside of it. And that's just the best way to describe this, that you got to be able to look at it. Much like I tell people, the faith that you got to have within yourself, you got to see the end before you even start. And so you got to already be there. Because when you carve, or whenever I sculpt fruit, is that whatever that cut is, I got to be thinking 7 steps down the road, because once I'm committed, I can't put it back. And so I make that cut, and I already know where I'm going to be 7 cuts. And so that's just the kind of the faith and the mindset that you got to have.
You kind of like the LeBron James of the culinary fruit catching, man. 'Cause, that's how he is. 'Cause that's how he explains the game. He always ahead of what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
My term is I like to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
That is amazing. So when you're getting in your mode, you getting your mojo on, what you listening to? With some Mobb Deep or D'Angelo, Erykah Badu? What do you like to get into?
So, you know what? Nothing against some of the new music. I can't understand nothing they're saying, like mumble rap and stuff like that. I can't get into it. Like, number one, but I always love a good story. So, but my father was a singer. My father was a beautiful singer, and so he sung a lot of gospel, and so gospel puts my mind at ease. But he was always known to sing R&B. So. You might find me, listen to some R&B or listen to some gospel. I can't sing, I can't hold a note. I'll run the kitchen dry, if I start singing. But definitely something like that tells a good story, and you can hear the lyrics, and it's poetic and puts my mind at ease.
Wow. So what has been like some of your major struggles on your journey that you've overcome come?
I'll start. I'll tell you recently is that I got fat and I got complacent, and I had a lot of awards. I had a lot of my success came easy. Okay, so you win all these Food Network, and then you go to the Olympics, and you win Chef of the Year, and you see all these medals, and you see all these plaques, and you do all of this over a period of time. And then what happens when you stop winning awards? What happens when Food Network stops calling you to be on a TV show? And what happens, when the spotlight of newspapers and magazines, they're not running features on you anymore? And for a long time, that became my identity. And so what happens when you got to kind of go back, and you got to go back to ground zero, and you got to go back to the foundation of where it got you to those high levels? And so it was me actually taking a real nice hard look in the mirror and looking at that person who I became and going, wow, I got comfortable.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was starting over and going back to basics and actually practicing more, because I stopped practicing because all I had to do was smile and go, hi, I'm Steve Baity. And they'll go, oh, let's write an article about you.
Right.
Where, before when I was a no name, I was hungry. I was researching, I was practicing, I was going, but now everyone knows me, so why do I need to work hard? So I got lazy. So now we back to ground zero.
Wow. I mean, it's like listening to you, the way you describe it is, it's almost like listening to an athlete. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you got MVP last year, but now here's a new season.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting off a little rocky. What you gonna do? You can't rely on last season to carry you through this season.
Yep.
And I think to me that shows you have a lot of mental discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also very humbling, I would imagine. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let me come down a few notches, refocus, and attack this again.
Well, and not only that, but my kids are older. So I have 4 kids. My son is my oldest, and then I have 3 girls. And it's a interesting responsibility on the vision of your children, of how they see you as their father, as their hero. And so I'll tell you is that when your son, when he looks at you as you're like bulletproof, as you're invincible, that you're his hero,
Yeah.
I feel it that I owe him due justice to show him what a real man looks like following his dreams.
Right.
What it looks like to recalibrate. Because I have to be that example, because everything that I do, my son wants to do. He wants to be just like me. He wears his shoelaces like I wear. He wants his clothes to hang a certain way. And so with that being said, as a father to a young man-child, is that I really want to make sure that he understands what it looks like to follow your goals. Second part is now I have 3 young ladies. And what does it look like for them to see that their hero, that he gets up every day and he goes to work, that their hero gets up and he goes after his dream, and that he is resilient, and that he takes care of them, not only from a financial standpoint, but he has provided a platform for them to grow safely in. So I take it very seriously.
And now, how do you juggle all that? We talked about it a little bit, but I want you to explain like your schedule and how you juggle all this, because it's phenomenal.
Man, I'd say you got to make a decision, and everything there's a sacrifice. And I know everyone says you can have everything, but we're all given the same 24 hours in a day. And so obviously you got to account for rest. And if you're like me, who has a 9 to 5, you got to work that, and you got to dedicate time to your family. All right. But with that being said, is that you got to just make sure that you're just being accountable to whatever the task is and whatever your dream is. And so if you have a moment, boom, you're on it. If you have a second, boom, you take that second. And before you know it, it adds up. And so that 15 minutes here, that 20 minutes here, an Instagram post, a Facebook, responding to something, taking the picture, screenshotting something. Before you know it, through the course of the day, you're constantly working. You're constantly working towards that goal, and you're just chipping away at it. And that's what I tell people is that, because they're like, goodness gracious, dude, you're doing another webinar, you're here, you're there, you're posting pictures, you're doing that. Definitely, nonstop.
And how has, we'll take it back to last year. When COVID hit, how did that affect what you was doing?
So that was another thing, is that when COVID hit, just like everyone else, that it really it took the legs from underneath me, because everything that I do is based off public interaction. And
Right.
so if I can't sit there and carve and I can't do a food demo, what am I doing? And so it allowed me to kind of go back and look at the business and what I was doing. And I found out that I could do a better job of marketing myself. And what I mean is that I learned how to be a better photographer. I learned how to do videography better. I learned how to market myself in the sense of doing graphic design. And so I dug into some other areas of the business, because I wasn't all doing the show. I learned how to do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And I learned how to sell myself better, because now everyone else is biting for attention, because it's slim and the opportunities are narrow. And so I learned how to approach different clients and be able to seal the deal. Well, before I was maybe a little bit more lax, because there was more fish out there.
Okay, okay. And at any point in time, did you feel like, what I'm trying to say is like, did you feel like, where's this all going to end? Because, for a minute, we didn't know what the hell was going on with this COVID. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the date, the end of the tunnel with this?
It still exists. You got to remember that what COVID has done and is doing is that accessibility is at a minimum. And so whether it's the ability to get certain products, whether it's the ability to go certain places, is that you're very limited in that. And so it's definitely one of those things where I talk about faith, when I talk about having assurance in your abilities, in your skills, and your brand, and who you are, and your art. Is that if this is that time where it says, let your testing times be your trying times, that this is those times where it's either going to make or break you. This is where you sift out the make believers and the wannabes and the studio gangsters to the real OGs. So you find out who the real OG is, who have seen the test of time, who have endured hardship and they're still standing, versus the guy who took one hit. Like Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get in the ring and they get hit.
Yeah,
You know, and you can see who was built for this,
yeah.
because they're resilient and they keep coming back for more. And you go, oh, that's the best you got. Hit me again. And you're like, man, what's wrong with him? That's what people. That's the people who are going to land the deals and who are going to get the endorsements or who are going to get the callbacks. Is that people will look at them and go, oh, we want them, because they don't know how to say no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very encouraging right there. Now,
Hmm.
your brand, where are you going with your branding right
So I'm telling you, this is a funny story. Is that my father, Pops, uh, anyone who knows my dad, Stephen Baity Sr., he was the coolest cat on the earth. And so um, I always struggle when my dad passed, because he passed so unexpectedly. And so I, I was like, wow, like how do I honor this man who who named me after him, number one,
now? Right.
and how do I keep his legacy alive? And so that's when the Stephen C. Baity brand emerged. Is that because I'm named after my father, Stephen. And so the clothing, people always go, man, you so arrogant, man. You wear your name on your hat, you wear your name on your shirt, and yada yada yada. But lo and behold, when I begin to tell the story, is that I'm giving honor to a great patriarch of my life, which is my father, which is Stephen Baby Sr. They kind of go, oh wow, I feel silly. But what I've found out is that um, the brand itself it has such swag to it, you know. And so I recently teamed with Chef to Impress,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is out of Louisville, Kentucky. And me and Chef Rodney, we're going to get together and we're about to launch very soon a whole line. It's going to be called the Culinary Legend Series. Okay. And so it's going to be available, and it's going to be a really dope project. The graffiti carving, also the logo is going to be a lot brighter colors because that's what graffiti is about.
Right.
That you can interact with some of your favorite Air Force Ones and Air Maxes and LeBrons and Jordans and everything like that. So the whole clothing line is going to be alive and well because as I've been able to travel this country and speak to different youths, I want to be able to give a leave behind, and I want to be remind these cats that I was there. So that's what the clothing and apparel is about.
So what's one of your most favorite places you like to travel?
Ah, man. I'll tell you is recently last year before COVID hit, I was in Germany,
Mm.
and I was in the Culinary Olympics, and I represented the United States in fruit and vegetable carving. And so you don't know what you're missing until you go international. Like, everyone goes to Florida, people go to Atlanta, they go to California, people even go to Niagara Falls, okay? But it's something when you go to a whole nother culture. When you leave the United States, and I ain't talking about going to Mexico or Cancun or whatever, Jamaica, but go to just cross the ocean. Wow. I'm telling you, it opened up my whole mind.
Dude, for real, you sound like Cam Newton. He said the exact same thing. You know what I'm
Really?
saying? Yeah, because he was on the podcast I was telling you about. I have to send you the link. And he was just, because people talk about his style, this, that, and third, and he's like, yeah, I'm from Atlanta, but he's like, but when he went over to France and all over that way, he's like, it just opened his eyes up and blew his mind. Like y'all almost verbatim with that, dude.
Yeah. No, it definitely, like I said, just how you approach culture, how you approach food, how you approach a community, how you approach transportation and finances, to learn how to walk into a bakery um, and something as simple as saying please and thank you in German, be able to say bitteschön and dankeschön. Like being able to expand your vocabulary
Right.
is dope.
Wow.
Dope. It's absolutely dope.
That has to be so just like mentally stimulating, like
Yes.
different type of air. How is the food over there? Like compare the food in Germany versus most of the typical American food.
So here's the fear about anywhere when you begin to travel is that it becomes very touristy. Okay, so obviously you're getting pizza and you're getting pasta and you're getting all this stuff like you would expect back home. Okay, but when you go off the beaten path, and we went, me and Stuart Lytle, he actually went with me. But we went on to this crazy restaurant that had chickens and goose and walking around, and we went to the motherland like we was from Germany eating. We couldn't pronounce half the stuff on the menu. We were just ordering it, and I told the lady I wanted some chicken, and I didn't know I was eating ostrich. She's like, it's a bird, So I said I wanted some chicken. I'm sitting here chewing on some ostrich, but yeah, I didn't agree with all of it as far as like I was like, oh, that's different. But
Right.
it was an experience.
Wow. So y'all went into the hood. And that's the thing. When you from the hood, you go to the hood. Like I just want to see what y'all hood like. We want some hood food. I get it.
Yeah, and I tell you, what's funny is like being over in Germany is that you just like how we like Nikes and how we like baggy clothes and we like rap music and everything. Like they love the same thing back there.
I will say this from some of the stuff I've read and interviews I've seen. Like with hip hop music, they appreciate what's considered old school hip hop here, they appreciate real hip hop so much more
They
than
do. They do.
I find it
Absolutely.
amazing.
Hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Now, do you plan on opening up a restaurant, a chain of restaurants? Or what's up with that?
Man, that's a question I get quite often, and I have one of my fears of a restaurant is being landlocked.
Okay.
When you open a restaurant, most restaurants, 90% of restaurants fail within the first year. 80% of restaurants fail within the first 2 years.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. And I'm about to break it down. I'm about to break it down. Uh, what am I drinking? I'm drinking my protein shake, girl. Um, so restaurants, the investment in the restaurant is astronomical. It is unreal.
Right.
So you got to remember, if it's on the shelf, it's costing you money. And your inventory that you have to carry of proteins and dry goods and linens and paper and chemicals and all these things that are on the shelf is through the roof. The other piece is that you're constantly paying staff. Okay, even if no one's walking in the restaurant, you're still paying people regardless. Yeah. All right, and that the what you bring in as far as inventory is not 100% usage. You got waste, you got theft, you got orders being wrong and stuff getting thrown in the trash, and just all of these things that are happening. And so you're not always getting 100% return on your investment, okay? And so, in the amount of hours that you have to put into a restaurant, because you got to remember, because you're not making money when the restaurant isn't open, so there's a lot of prep and production that happens. Is that 9 out of 10 times you can't pay staff to do that. So ultimately, the owners are in there doing it themselves until they can bring a staff in to open a restaurant and then it's service. And so, you're 16 and 18-hour days, 7 days a week. There's a huge neglect for a very small return on an investment. The other piece is that when it comes to food, it brings out the devil in people, okay? And people have such an entitlement when it comes to food. It's amazing that, well, I paid you my $5.99. It's just
yeah. That's all.
And so a lot of times people don't appreciate, food as much as they think they do. Now, COVID has taught people that you better learn to appreciate wait staff and those people, because when they shut down the restaurants, people had no social gatherings,
right?
And so they missed those favorite restaurants. And so the long end of the short is that restaurants are extremely, extremely hard work. And honestly, it's not worth it. And I talk about coming back to my son and my daughters, is that time that I would neglect them for the sake of chasing the dollar. I couldn't live with myself.
Got it. Yeah, that is a lot. Jeez.
It,
Yeah, break it down like that, like, yeah, man.
Because people think it's just about getting a hamburger and a bun and some lettuce and tomato and just throw it on the grill and feed people some French fries. But there's a whole course that comes along with it, and electricity and insurance and workers' compensation and yada 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 that goes into that hamburger. So although that hamburger, you see, it's like, why is that hamburger $12? Because I can go to Fisher's and it's $1.69 a pound.
Right.
Well, you got all the other things that are behind it that's going to make it be $12, and that's what people forget. And so I would honestly get tired of having to explain and break it down to someone who's going, why do I need to pay $12 for a hamburger?
Because to me, the biggest thing about a restaurant, of course, good food. I'm big on customer service. Mm-hmm. I like it's a soul food joint up in Cleveland, Zanzibar's.
Yes.
I love that spot. And the food is really good, but the customer service is great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot that goes into it. My boy need to have you come be a celebrity chef one day. Glenn Gillespie, he has a restaurant up in Akron called Edgar's.
Yes, I've heard about it.
Yeah, that's my dude. He grew up on the other side, because I grew up on Freedom. about grabbing
Gotcha.
Fifth Avenue, and he was on the other side of the hill. And I'm sitting here thinking that'd be a nice little weekend collab. Going here and bring Chef Baity in and maybe guest chef for the evening or something like that.
Definitely. That would be a good time. Definitely.
No doubt. So, any last words of encouragement for just anybody that's going through anything right now?
Man, and I say this with everything in me is that I tell people to go find a mirror and look at that reflection. And what you see is that's your real competition. And so, because your reflection is on you, your competition in the mirror. And what do I mean by that is that sometimes we're so consumed with outdoing and outbeing somebody else who is really not concerned about us, is that we miss the whole purpose of our own individual existence. And so I say, find that mirror, look at that that reflection, and that's your competition. That's the only person you got to try to outdo and outbe on a day-to-day basis. Is that, like, stick to that. Because people always go, well, who's a better chef? And who will win if you cook against that person? And this is what I tell them. I says, I would lose every time. They go, Steve, you're a great chef. I says, but I'm not you, and I'm not them. I will never on my best day be a better version of you. That's what makes you you and me. So that's why I don't believe in competition for that purpose of
Right.
trying to beat another individual at being them. I'm never going to win.
Right.
So when people see me do TV shows or they see me do American Culinary Federation competitions or the Olympics, I'm trying to beat that version of the mirror reflection that I saw a year ago, and to be a better chef, to be a better dad, to be a better whatever. And so that's the focus. Realign that.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard him. Be a better you. Go at you. Look in that mirror. That's what I'm talking about. My brother, man, I want to thank you so much for your time. It is greatly appreciated, man. You dropped a lot of wisdom, the jewels. Any shout outs? You got a whole bunch of family on here.
Man, there's a lot of people, obviously on my court, but obviously I have a good friend that anyone who knows me, that he rolls with me. Obviously, my best friend in life, Saxy Rob. Obviously Stuart Lytle, yeah. Obviously moms and dads or whatever. Obviously my cousin Diane, she's on here acting a fool. Miss
Hey,
Santa, yeah, Miss Santa Marie. She's one of those people that truly knows my heart, knows my ear, and she knows how to break me down. So I appreciate you.
Didn't she used to sing?
No.
Santa Marie. She sings, right?
Yeah, she does a little bit. But, honestly, she keeps me grounded, and she probably doesn't get enough credit. So I have to publicly say thank you. I appreciate you.
That's what's up. Like I said, thank you for your time, my brother. It's greatly appreciated. Keep on doing what you're doing. I'm keep on following you. I'm keep on cheering you on. I don't have to hit your website up, so I can go ahead and give me some Steve. Might give me a Steve Baity fedora or something. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, my brother. You have a wonderful evening.
My man. You too.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.